it's the same thing with large bloated corporations like Shell was at the time. It's just, it didn't matter if I existed or not. I wasn't contributing to the bottom line. And there was also some maturity issues. You know, I was 22 and I hadn't been around much. And this was a 1980s corporation, you know, so corporate America was really weird back then. It's weird now, but it was really weird back then. So 3 years into it, they hit the skids and did a round of layoffs. That's their opportunity to cut the fat. I apparently was the fat. So, but they cut me a big severance check and they basically paid me to quit a job I hate. And I'm like, you know what? The heck with this job. I'm going to move back to Austin and figure it out with my life. Happened to have a conversation with this guy that worked across the parking lot, and one of the salespeople had sort of befriended me, and he had popped over one morning and says, dude, I'm getting into real estate. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And he started describing it to me, and I thought, that sounds cool. So it was literally like 2 days later that I quit the job, and I called him, and I said, tell me about this real estate thing. It was a total accident.
Complete accident. You kind of just fell into it, and you just made that decision. It was just kind of like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And now get to a point to where you were able to put your own name on a building, Linnemann Realty, and it's yours. You're the president. You're the broker. What does that look like? How do you get from there to there?
It took about 2 years.
2 years.
3 years maybe, because I got my license in about 6 weeks, because back then you were able to cram your courses in pretty quick, and then you just run down to Austin and take the test with a number 2 pencil. And what I did was, when I broke out on my own, I made that my office. Not the best location for a real estate office, but it was cheap. I owned the duplex and I rented out the other half of it. So I had basically a free office set up, and I sat out there and I started just fumbling around with my own brokerage, making every mistake you could possibly make, living broke. The mid-late 90s were extremely difficult times for me.
Look, things aren't always going to be easy. They're not always going to look the brightest, but
there was many, many, many times when I was going to give up. There was so many times and I was just like, just get a job, Mike. Just get a job. And you know, any bank around here will hire you. You could wear a suit and sit in the air conditioning, and you'll know where your money's coming from. And I couldn't do it. I just couldn't let go. I couldn't let go. And that's the thing, the curse of being self-employed, is that once you become self-employed, you're stuck. You burn the bridge behind you, because you're not going to want to go back, and you're not going to want to go take on a regular job. So much of your success in business is going to come about from word of mouth, and not necessarily that people say that, oh wow, he's really good at real estate, but people say, no, I've seen that guy really bust ass for his community, you know. And not just, it's not enough to just be on a board. It's not just enough to be, we have plenty of people who just fill seats on boards. Going to the board meeting once a month is the beginning. Where the rubber meets the road is between the board meetings. And I try to explain to anybody that's ever been on a board. I say, listen, this meeting once a month is just for us to talk about everything that we got done during the month. And I'm just a big believer in fertilizing the soil that grows your crops. And the fact is, you know, a strong community is going to be better for you business-wise, no matter what you do, whether it's real estate, whether, you know, you're a web developer, or whether you run a cleaning service. If your community is flourishing, you're going to flourish with it. And if people in your community see you helping and trying to make things happen, you know, with no real, it's not a direct gain. I could spend my time a lot more efficiently than, you know, being at the theater late at night, or than, you know, being here with the chamber with the things that we've done. You know, it's more a matter of somebody's got to step up and do it. And it should especially be anybody that's in this community and enjoying the fruits of this community, and especially running their own business. Yeah. If it's your own entity, you know, roll up your sleeves and help out in your town. The main thing you need with most of these organizations is getting your members involved, and getting more people basically donating money. I mean, if you're on a nonprofit board, your job is to try to make money for the nonprofit, especially at the theater. And I came on the board of the theater when it was about to close. And I was asked, a mutual friend asked me, hey, would you jump on the board and help maybe keep this place alive? And I'm like, absolutely. So I got involved, and I've been on various positions on that board now for 7 years. I'm about to come off finally, but the first thing I did, and it was the same thing I did at the Homebuilders when we were setting up the parade of homes, is everybody says, okay, well, we need to get advertisers for the magazine, and figured let's take a list of member names and divide it up. I said, no, we don't do that. I said, you give everybody a piece of a list with some names and numbers on it. What are they going to do? They're going to file it. Nobody's going to get called. I said, we do a boiler room. I've always called it boiler room, and it's, I know, negative connotation. I said, we all sit in this room and we all call. And we do it, and we get this done in an hour. And that's what we did, and we filled up the magazine when I was at the Homebuilders. At the theater, we did the boiler room, and that's what I said. I said, give me the whole member list, everybody that's ever been a member here, anybody that's ever been an advertiser here. I said, we're going to fill this room full of people. Everybody's going to be on their phone at the same time, and you had like one of those front desk bells. I said, you make a sale for $500 or more, you ring the bell. I said, you make a sale for $1,000, you hit the snare drum. You make a sale for $2,000 or more, you hit the cymbal. I said, if you get a no, and I had taken blue tape and I taped off a square on the tile floor in the lobby. I said, you get a no, you stand in the box of shame. And you consider your actions. No, it's boiler room. I mean, come on. We're talking. I said, listen, this is the time when greed is good, okay? You got to be greedy for your theater. And when these people get it, don't ask them to donate. Tell them, how much are you going to donate? Being in leadership here at the Chamber was eye-opening when it comes to the real estate market. And it really contributed a lot to my knowledge of what's going on here. We basically become a suburb of Austin. And that's where the population explosion has come from. We've got more commuters living here in this town than ever before. People who have sold their house in Austin, they might have owned it 10 years. They cashed out, $750,000. They come up here, they pay $250 cash for a house, and they're sitting on $500,000. So they're liquid now, and their overhead is much lower, and they can just commute to work, or they can just telecommute and work from home. The downside of that is that you've got, between commuters and investors, you've got a lot of investors buying up real estate now, buying up whole neighborhoods. You've got more build for rent neighborhoods going up now than ever before, which is kind of a little bit shocking because these investors are now directly competing with homeowners. The problem is that you've got a lot of commuters who don't need to live here. And you've got a lot of investors, and investors are fickle. So if at any time all of these people decide to start selling, then you're going to have a flood on the market and your prices are going to plummet. And which is always a concern for me looking forward. My family. That's it. I don't want them to have to do without. I mean, if it was just, when it was just me, I didn't really start to become successful until Priscilla and I got together. Because all of a sudden I had something to be successful for. That's really it. Yeah. So, and a crushing fear of failure. So I'll say, listen, people in mortgage and people in title are all smarter than us. Because you'll have, who do mortgage lenders hang out with? They hang out with realtors. You know why? Because realtors are their customers. Title people will hang out with realtors because realtors are their customers. They bring them their business. Realtors hang out with other realtors. And I've never understood it. I keep telling them any chance I can. I'm like, you're literally hanging out with the last people on the planet who are ever going to buy a house from you. Okay? You can spend your personal time circulating with people that might make your life better. A lot of people, based on different behavioral patterns, some people, you've seen those people who like to hang out with people who are self-destructive or people who might make you feel better about yourself because maybe they're not doing very well. Hang out with people that are excelling past you. Hang out with successful people.